God, it is Friday. It is time for another episode of 8 Bits, where we get to talk about video games. And, we had a holiday weekend, but we still managed to squeeze a show in last week. And here we are yet again to talk about video games. And as I was mentioning to the co-host here before the show got started, tonight we officially announced that we have secured a sponsorship with Riot Games. So we will only be talking about League of Legends all night and forever.
I love Riot.
Forever.
Yeah.
No, anyway, we're going to talk about that news later. Just kidding. itmeJP, Jeff Green, aka Greenspeak on Twitter. Hello, gentlemen. How are you? How have you been? How's your gaming been? What's up?
It's been going good. It's snowing here in Texas. I'm not sure what to do. I don't know how.
That was a lot of snow in that photo you tweeted.
Yeah, I walked outside with sandals and shorts today and was like, well,
nope.
Guess I'm going back inside.
How often does that happen in your part of this?
Once a year, if that. I think it snowed Christmas Day last year, but I wasn't here for that. If you go like 100 miles south, they have not seen snow in years. So it's pretty rare for it to happen. And tonight it's getting down to like 14 degrees, which is even rarer. I think that's the coldest I've ever experienced while living here in Dallas. So
that's pretty crazy cold, JP. As the winter months hit, and it does also get below freezing around here. I realize that the most agonizing time of the day is when I have to get out of the shower and into my clothes. It's just
oh really?
Damn it! It's like the worst ever. It's just,
see, for me, it sucks for going outside, but I actually have both my windows open right now because my room's fucking hot.
Wow.
And so I actually am sitting here with t-shirts and shorts, and my windows are open, the sun's shining, and my room is nice and 70 degrees. It's perfect.
I can't do that. It's cold in my basement because I'm not wearing my scarf. But
yeah.
So I shouldn't be complaining about it being 37.
Nah,
that's not too bad.
That's really good. You get your fair share of crazy weather though, don't you?
In California, we get earthquakes. So there's that.
I guess
crazy
that's comparable. Weather. I'll take the snow over the earthquake. Yeah. So yeah, I'm dealing with the snow and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess fuck snow. It's pretty. It looks nice.
Yeah, but everyone drives like shit.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go out on the roads.
Yeah.
My mom was I guess she was watching CNN. I got 30 texts over the course of 12 hours. You gotta go to the store. You gotta buy food. It's gonna snow. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm gonna be fine. She's like, you gotta go to the store and get water. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not gonna. It's not a zombie apocalypse. It's just snow.
It's code red, JP.
Yeah.
If mom calls and says it, you better do that.
Yeah, exactly. She was
always listen to mom.
Exactly.
Always.
Exactly. So I've been dealing with that this morning. I have not been messing around with games at all this morning, but this past week I have been. So we'll get to that. In just a second. Yeah, Jeff, what have you been up to? It's been a while since we had you on the show. Thanks for coming on again.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Well, I bought a ton of stuff over Black Friday. I actually did it all through Amazon, who was price matching and had a little war going, I think, with GameStop. So I picked up a few things that I hadn't played yet, including Last of Us. I got for $25. I know we're going to do a playing later, or what we're playing a little bit later. But so I picked up that God of War collection, Ratchet and Clank collection, Rayman Legends, and this my one piece of show and tell. This Zelda book. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah, I saw the picture of the guy that had it printed backwards.
Yeah,
but
this was a ridiculous $12 on their their Black Friday thing, and it's a pretty awesome book, especially if you're a Zelda fan.
Yeah.
Lots of little.
Is that through Amazon? Where'd you get that at?
Yeah, through Amazon.
Shit, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was $12 on Black Friday.
I should have grabbed that.
Yeah, I mean, lots of minutia about the game world. They actually even have a timeline of all the Zelda games, which I never understood. You know, I never understood how they all fit together.
Yeah,
and they kind of do.
Yeah, I think Nintendo was like, we should probably try to make this like a coherent story, guys. What the fuck are we doing with all these games?
Yeah. It was probably all retrofitted. I mean, yeah. It's not like Tolkien here. I don't think there's like grand sweeping story, especially since it's basically the same story over and over with each.
Right, and no one has ever, no one has ever complained about that fact, really, and that without. I don't want to, this is still one of those touchy areas, but there's another AAA title that sort of walks that boundary as well, and I think you guys probably know what I'm talking about. But it's interesting how even with, if you think about how simple Zelda was, the original Legend of Zelda, of all the things that it retained that are still around today, and of course I've been playing the newest Link Between Worlds, but the Triforce, Ganon, Link, Zelda, heart containers, bombs, a boomerang. It's even though the new things have come in, it's like, how many other games can truly say that their 1986 original game still has elements that are used and appreciated today? Like it blows my mind that and honestly, with how many ever games they've come out with, how they keep coming up with clever ass puzzles. Like what?
Yeah, that's true.
No, it blows me away. It's the thing I've always loved most about this series, and it and yeah, in this one, it's like, once again, there's all these like incredibly insane, super fun puzzles that, I mean, the whole game, the series has always, to me, almost been like an amusement park. It's like, okay, now I'm in this area and I get to do all this fun stuff with this tool, and, you have a sort of a vague idea that, okay, I'm in this land, so then this thing must be important. I'm in the ice world, so fire must be important. But then the way that they use it is so clever every time, and so surprising. Like, there's always one or two puzzles in every dungeon where I'm just like, I'm never going to figure this out. And then when I do, it's like, oh shit, that's so cool.
And I'm so smart for figuring it out.
I'm so smart. Yeah, the wall merging especially is just so beautiful in this game.
Yeah. It took me actually to talk about the I still don't, fucking Zelda. I don't know what the subtitle is of the new one. But what is it? A Link Between Worlds?
Link Between Worlds, yeah.
Yeah, I just called Zelda. Whatever. It took me like 2 dungeons to get that locked in my head that I could like merge onto the walls and use that as a mechanic.
Me too.
Because otherwise, I was walking around and like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, you just go between like the prison door, and that's all you gotta do.
Yep. It was. You guys, it was my 8-year-old who kept reminding me, you
gotta go through.
Wall, become a painting. Daddy, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, but it's awesome that, again, they introduce another concept. It's like, it's so foreign to me. I'm like, so Zelda, right? I blow up walls that have fucking cracks in them. That's what I do. But this is a really awesome way for them to introduce something that was not just like just throw this in here and then slap something else on it.
In your defense, he has not had 12 years of Zelda-ness where you didn't have this merge into walls bullshit.
There's no preconception there.
Yeah, so you're looking for a place to shoot a bow or a place to put a bomb. So that's how he figured it out.
Like, in some ways, they made it easier to have almost all of the tools accessible from the beginning. That's easier, but another way it's harder in that, more choice means it's not obvious necessarily which is going to be the right one.
Right.
Like sometimes I had to bring multiple things, and what seemed like going to be the one wasn't the right one. But I do also like that seems to be multiple ways to do not every puzzle, of course, but some of them.
Right. No, I would agree. There's definitely a lot of way. And you'd mentioned the items and sort of having that flexibility and that choice. Well, I love how they do that. But you know what it's done to me is that I am scared to death of dying. Like, I've not died yet in the game. Because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my shit. And so at one point I was freaking out with like a 1 heart. And you know what? The one thing, if I could remove one thing from a Zelda game,
the beeping.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Like beep beep beep! You're gonna die, mother.
Your heart starts going straight to that rhythm too.
Oh.
You start freaking out.
Oh,
However, it's serving its purpose, right?
It
I mean,
is.
you're feeling how you probably should feel if you're about to die.
Yep.
And also, I really love the way they're justifying the 3D in this game.
Oh,
for
God. It's amazing.
Yep. I think the first best I haven't seen that much of the game past like one Dark World dungeon or whatever. But I went up into like up in the mountains, and there's one where these platforms are moving, and you have like, if you turn the 3D on, the platforms are at different elevations, and you have to jump off one to jump onto another one that's at a lower elevation.
Yes.
Like that, I was with the 3D on. I actually just played with that on, and I absolutely hate 3D on the 3DS, and it was a really enjoyable experience for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually it right there, Mark. Is what you're showing on screen.
Which one?
The fiery one. That I think it's that dungeon or that level that was using it.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, just a beautiful game all the way around.
Yep. I need to spend more time with it, but there's too many.
By the way, I do recommend. I'm far enough along now that I've basically bought every tool but one. And once you buy them, then that fear of death kind of goes away.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what eventually triggers that, but I'm on. I'm now on like my second or third sage now. I think my second sage, so I'm assuming it's going to come soon.
It should be triggered by now.
Really?
Yeah, you must be close.
Okay.
I think you might have
Maybe
missed
I just need to go
text
back
or something. Yeah, go back to Ravio or whatever. You should be able to buy it.
I'll check.
You probably just haven't died yet, so you don't have a reason to go back there and get the new stuff, right?
You're probably right. I just got everything and got the hell out. So.
Yep.
But I love it. It's great. JP, I hated you for a while because I went out and I bought that's what I bought on Black Friday, the 3DS, and then Zelda's just been great. So,
did you get the Zelda 3DS?
So that was my goal, but it just was. It proved to be a little bit too difficult for the price that all the other DSs were being offered. So I'm like, hey, I got a cool red DS. I'll put a decal on it and be just as happy. But I was thinking, like, if I'm gonna get a 3DS, I should at least get something cool. But then I was just like, it's cool. That large ass screen. Oh my god!
Yeah.
I look at my kid's 3DS now and I'm just like, baby's toy. Like, look at that bad boy. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you got a 3DS. You got all that stuff that you said. I bought a fucking Vita. What am I doing?
Oh yeah.
They had a crazy deal where it's got it was the Walking Dead bundle on Amazon.
Yes.
It had Sly Cooper, Retro City Rampage, Uncharted, and what was the other? Well, The Walking Dead. And it was $179 plus the console. So that's like
that's good. Wow,
that's hella good deal.
Yeah. And then I added PS Plus on top of that, and it was retroactive because like as I've had it for like 4 months now, I would just purchase the games or make sure that the store knew that I had like bought those free games. So then I could just download all of them. So now I've filled up a 16 gigabit card in like the first 2 hours of having the system. And so I got to get another fucking memory card because those things just do not fit that many games on them. They're also incredibly expensive. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I'm enjoying it. I think that screen is like the best handheld screen I've ever seen.
Really?
Pretty great.
Clarity and like the touch on it works great, more so than I think the 3DS. It's more responsive. So far, I'm loving it.
The game library justifies the purchase.
That's probably the one concern I do have but I've missed so many, like, I guess not big titles, but I've missed so many titles that I've wanted to go back and play now that there is a big enough game library for me. And I actually picked it up for Tearaway, which is, I forgot to put that game on my list, but
right.
I heard a lot of great things about that.
It's awesome. Yeah.
That game's kind of weird and crazy. Like when you first boot the game up, it takes the camera on the Vita is like already focused on you, and it like takes your head and puts you in the sun. And then when you're playing the game, if you just like look up in the sky, your face is the sun. Like
wow.
in real time, you can move the camera.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Tubbies.
Yeah, it was. The weird thing was that I was like making faces at the thing. I was like, "What the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I enjoying myself making stupid faces in this fucking game?" But it was it's enjoyable. I only spent like, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes with it, so I need to go back to it. But it's got some interesting things to it. Like they use the back screen a lot. So like one of the things is you'll walk onto like this field and it's got like little PlayStation X's on it. And you can, if you push on the back, I don't know, not screen, whatever it is,
it's like touch
back
as
of the
well.
Vita. Yeah, the touchpad, I guess. Your finger or a finger will like pop through in the game, and that's like one of the, I guess, ways to attack in this weird puzzle platformer. So it just seems like a very media, or is it media molecule? That's what it is, right? Yeah. Seems very them. Like you can see that is their game 100%.
I mean, I don't regret buying my Vita because it's, you know, it's a great travel companion, whether you do use it for like even watching Netflix or whatever. I'm a big fan of all the pinball stuff that's on it because you can like turn it sideways and play it touch. It's amazing. But I've gone through the library, and my biggest thing about the Vita is that I do have to wait 3 months in between releases that I feel like I might want to play. And that kind of sucks to consider that, you know, I did drop a pretty nice hunk of change on a system. Granted, I'm a Sony fanboy, so I'll probably get it anyway. The remote play and stuff is pretty cool. I have used it one additional time. I don't feel like it's very good for all games, but it certainly can serve a purpose. I think that's the perfect kind of thing when you've got like a RPG or something that you're already going to sink a lot of time into that doesn't need a ton of, you know, perfect sync in between, because we tried it out and there was a little bit of delay. So JP, like, what do you just see yourself picking up these every 3-month releases, or do you think you'll do more with like the PS4, PS Vita, you know, cross capabilities? I mean, PS Plus automatically means you're going to have shit to do on your Vita, which is really nice. Whether it's PSP games
every month,
or PS2 games or I mean, they're doing it right there.
I think that's kind of the main thing is I felt like I was just missing out on something that I was already paying for with PS Plus, because they just throw games at you. I mean, I've already got like 10 games and I've only paid for the system. Or sorry, I guess, and Tearaway. That's it. Like I haven't bought a single game from the store.
That's crazy.
I've got things like Uncharted on there.
Which is really good, by the way.
Yeah, which I actually played
amazing.
That. It looks great, and I love the fact too, although this is like a terribly old game, the cool thing that they did, and I'm glad that they did this, like, I was worried that the platforming was going to be a little bit annoying in Uncharted, but you can just like take your finger and touch along the stones that you want to go on, and Nathan Drake will just like go and do that for you. And for me, like, that's awesome. I think that's great. I want to get those. Someone linked me, and unfortunately, I think I have to go to GameStop to get these, but they have triggers for this thing that you can put. It's like I guess it's a case or a mount for the Vita, because it is a little bit awkward to hold. I think that's just handhelds in general are a little bit awkward for me to hold.
Do you guys feel like you have room in your life for 2 separate handheld systems at the same time, along with the other gaming you're doing?
Well, for me, Jeff, Sony will just release another God of War, and then automatically my you know, it was justified. And just like Nintendo will release another Paper Mario or another Zelda or another something that I'm gonna go, this was worth whatever money I spent. So I mean, no, there's not, in terms of like both these systems will collect dust at certain times. They're gonna, you know, one's being used, the other's being used. But I don't think I will ever be that gamer again who's like, you know, I play my DS and my Vita an hour a day. You know, it's just not gonna happen anymore. So, but I feel like the Vita especially, like, it's got life, right? Like, this is something I could see myself playing some really impressive games on in still 2-3 years, because the hardware is really, really good. So I think that, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the future of the Vita is, but God, I hope the fact that it still has a pretty slow release schedule doesn't indicate anything real bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know any of like I don't even know what games are coming out for it, to be honest. I just bought it because I honestly bought it because it was Black Friday and I haven't bought anything yet. And I was like, well, that's a good deal. Get that. And I messaged Djwheat. What show were we doing? I think we were doing 8-Bits last Friday.
Yeah, we were.
And I messaged you this and I was like, buy? And then you typed in all caps, yeah, great deal. And I was like, fuck it. And I just clicked like buy now, one click or whatever. But yeah, I think I was actually surprised by how good that screen looks, man.
It's good.
It looks fantastic. I'm a little bit worrisome of like watching movies on it because I was reading, and who knows if this is like 100% true, but NeoGAF had like a thread of a lot of people having burn-in issues.
Really?
And I don't know if that's just with like people that have had it for a while and like people that watch YouTube with like all day and have like the giant YouTube insignia on it, so that's not moving. I don't know what the cause is for that, but I'm worried. Like I'll play it for like 10 minutes. It's like maybe I should put this down. Like I don't want to burn in the screen.
Dude,
that can't be.
I played.
Right, that's too extreme.
I played like Final Fantasy Tactics on that, and you can imagine how much static shit is in something like that. So I don't know. I wonder if that's like just an isolated thing or not. I can't say that I've ever experienced that, JP. I'm glad you got one though. Just to go ahead, Jeff.
You guys are tempting me. I think I still feel burned from the original PSP.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest it, but yeah, I don't think I could sit here and say it would be a good.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if you, got that. Hey, I bought this. I haven't used it. You want it for $50? You know, like
sure.
Other than that, I don't. Until a pretty regular release schedule comes out, Jeff, I don't.
Yeah. Or I mean, like sometimes for me, it's just like one killer game would do it. I mean, frankly, the PSP was my dedicated Luminesce machine. Like that's all I did on that thing for 2 years until I think I gave it to my nephew. And Zelda, frankly, is justifying the purchase of the 3DS. I mean, I already had the 3DS, but I swear, if that was the only game I had played, I'd probably still be happy.
Me too.
Yeah. It's my 3DS sat in my backpack for 6 months. I was like, well, shit, Zelda's out. I guess I'll go buy that. And now I find myself playing these newer games on all these new consoles, and it's like, man, I could be playing Zelda right now. Like, what am I actually doing? So
yeah, actually, I have to say that Zelda killed thank God, it killed some of my casual gaming I was doing on like the iPad and stuff, like Candy Crush. Game to hell. But it having something small I could play on the couch or wherever, and having that be Zelda instead of Candy Crush felt like some humongous moral victory.
Yeah.
It is.
Now I'm again.
Go hardcore. Well, I don't even know if you could call Zelda like a hardcore game. I don't even want to get into that fucking discussion. Let's not do that.
It's a semantic argument. I mean, I would say it is if we had to have that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to know gamer language really to get that game and to want to play that. And plus the hours, right? I mean, seems like a long game to me so far.
Yeah, I think it's around 20 hours, 22 hours, something like that. So
Makes
my
sense.
brother ended up beating it last night. He said it was fantastic. So I need to get to the end of it and put it behind me before 2014 hits, I think. But I got a lot of traveling coming up, so I'll probably do it then. Just beat it on the plane as I'm going from place to place.
There you go. That's what you should do.
Yep.
Jeff,
what else you guys been playing?
What about you, Jeff?
Well, what else have I been playing? Well, I started playing Last of Us because of Black Friday, and I'm about 4 hours in, and I don't want to, it's way too early for me to pass judgment. But I've been thinking in the last day about that game that this, for me to play it now, is sort of like when you see a movie after everybody's just been freaking raving about it for months and months and months and months. Like this, you're not going to believe how awesome this thing is. And so it was probably a little overhyped in my mind. because I was like, I'm going to be blown away. This is going to be the best thing ever because everybody keeps saying that. So now 4 hours in, I'm sort of like still waiting to be blown away. But I will say that, like, you know, everything in it has been great so far. Like, the look of it is beautiful to look at. The graphics are fantastic. As usual with Naughty Dog, you know, the script and the voice acting and the storytelling is all first rate. You know, like, so much better than most of what's out there. So on all that, I get it. But where I'm not, like, I haven't made the leap into, like, this is my favorite game of the year yet, is
it takes a little while to do that. I think
gameplay to me is not, it's not fully there yet. There's a whole lot of me watching stuff. There's a whole lot of me waiting until they tell me to press A so that now I can move the thing over or whatever, and then a few random shootouts. So nothing has blown me away puzzle-wise. Even the way, it doesn't even feel as good to me as the Uncharted games did in that way. But again, I'm early on, and I acknowledge that, and I'm willing to believe. I want to believe that it's going to pick up and get more interesting, just in terms of gameplay. I love the story. I love the way they're telling it. You know, I didn't expect what happened at the beginning to happen, and that kind of blew me away. All
that intro is really intense. Like,
yeah,
I think we both said this. Me and we, like, that intro is probably one of the most memorable in a long, long time. Like, you can tell that they worked on that sequence more than anything else in that game.
I agree.
I nail it.
I mean, I won't spoil, but I wasn't expecting it at all. And having avoided spoilers this entire time.
That's impressive, by the way.
I knew I would play it, and I didn't want it ruined. So I just stayed away. But then when I think I did an out loud, like, whoa, you know, my wife came in because I was like, okay, that's a bold move. Like, you don't see that kind of thing in video games that often. And on that level, I have huge respect for Naughty Dog, and always have, for their ability to tell, like, their scripts. Like, a lot of times when I'm playing games that have stories and they're good, I usually have to qualify it with, well, that's a pretty good story for a video game.
Right.
That's good writing for a video game. But with Naughty Dog, like, to me, they don't need a qualification. Like, it's just good writing, you know? Like, believability that they have, the empathy they have between the characters, even like what's really amazing to me is like the facial expressions on these 3D characters, like, are eerily human. But I don't mean eerie in a bad way, like, not in an uncanny valley way. Like, they actually look like they have emotion on their face,
right?
Which is super cool.
And that makes me even more excited to think what they're going to do with the next Uncharted, because they were doing that even with, you know, Nathan Drake and friends. So
I kind of want to replay through that game now that, like, hearing you talk about it, I'm trying. I played through that game in a single sitting, Jeff. I sat down the Friday it came out and played through it in 17 hours. And while it was great, it was probably one of the most depressing experiences I've had with video games, because that game is just depressing as shit. And at the end of the day, I remember going to sleep and I was just like, man, I don't want to fucking live in the future. This is gonna be shitty when it all goes to shit like this. But I need to maybe replay through that, because, like you're saying, the story in that game, for me, and the way that it's written, the way that I was actually drawn into, like, actually enjoy those characters being on screen and wanted to see everything that I could in the game with them on screen. It was pretty fascinating now that I think about it, looking back.
Yeah, 4 hours in, and I feel pretty invested emotionally in the story. And also, like, they all do really have distinct personalities, all the characters I've met so far. And their personality
in the game exactly.
Well, they're outside, and they've been running outside for quite a while. He and Ellen Page.
Right.
But I can't think of a good milestone. They've seen I guess they're heading towards the Capitol building. That's where they are now.
Okay. So you've been through the first, like, office building then?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. But again, I think maybe just because I'm playing Zelda simultaneously, and of course these are two totally different games, and it's not remotely fair to compare them. Still, it's like Zelda is nonstop puzzle thinking and figuring stuff out, and and Last of Us didn't ever say it was going to be that way. But and the third game I'm playing is Dark Souls, which has, as you guys know, very
that's
complex.
such a weird mix, man.
Yeah.
Now I'm playing a game that's largely a story, and it's largely them just sort of pushing me through, and it feels so different to the other two, and so much easier in a certain way that it's making me. It's sort of messing with my, my judgment, I think, because everything about Last of Us feels great, but I'm not getting that that good gameplay fix, that good this is fun stuff to do with my controller. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think that The Last of Us proves that there is something aside from, there's an experience that's different than a gameplay experience, even though the gameplay experience is important. Yeah.
Right. No, that's totally true. And in fact, was Journey just last year, or maybe a couple years ago? I mean, that was one of my favorite games of that year, and a whole lot of people argued that wasn't even a game.
Right.
So yeah, for sure. Just in terms of the maturity of their storytelling and the effectiveness in which they're using that PS3 engine, it's just really, really great. I mean, they're so good at what they do.
Yeah, totally.
I
need to maybe revisit that.
And how about Dark Souls?
Man, I love Dark Souls. I really did. You may know that I did that first live stream sort of as a joke. Right. I didn't really intend to actually play it. All I knew was I've heard it's super hard. I know my skills have atrophied now that I'm older, so this will just be comedy that I'm actually doing this. And if you watch those first couple streams, that's what it is. I barely know what I'm doing, but it's around this end of the second stream or the beginning of the third, it clicked combat wise. It was all of a sudden I was okay, no, wait a second. If I just slow down and take my time and take each of these combat situations one by one, I can do this. It's not that hard. What's hard is you have to get over the idea that you can just blunder in and kill everything.
Yeah.
It's barely an action game, really. I mean, it's practically a strategy game.
I agree.
And once I got my head around that, then it got its hooks in me. And now, of all the things I'm playing, I mean, even as much as I love Zelda, which I do, very likely to be my game of the year, still the one I'm into the most right now is Dark Souls, because it's just on my brain constantly when I'm not playing it now. I'm thinking about how to beat certain guys or how I can improve my dodge. Stuff like that. So it's so good.
How many bosses in are you?
I just killed the butterfly thing last night.
Is that the only boss you've killed?
No, I've killed the butterfly. I've killed the gargoyles.
Okay, so you've done gargoyles. Okay.
Yeah, I did the gargoyles. Actually, I did. When I say I did the gargoyles, someone actually summoned into my game from NeoGAF, and even one of the NPCs who happened to be right there. So I was kind of in the background, just get him, So
that's
me there. But
a rare moment.
The butterfly was on me, and in fact, I was really proud of killing the butterfly yesterday because I probably ill-advisedly. I don't know if you guys have done this in your experience. This was the first time that I ever live streamed while fairly drunk.
Yeah, that's happened.
I hadn't intended it, but I went out with a friend in the middle of the day and we got a couple pints of beer, and then I realized it was time for me to live stream, so I booked home. And then by the time I was playing, I was still not remotely sober. And if you watch the beginning, I can barely tell where I am. But I killed the boss drunk. Maybe that's the way to play Dark Souls. Maybe it's like drunken master sort of thing.
You figured it out.
Exactly. I almost wonder. I'm interested to see how you do at future bosses, because I feel like the gargoyles is probably the first I guess true test in that game. And I'm fearful that since you did not do it yourself, that in future bosses you might have a harder time.
I think this was posited elsewhere, where that if people don't keep hand holding him, he's gonna fail soon. He's gonna hit a wall.
Eventually you'll just hit a wall, and you'll have to do like the 2 or 3 hour grind on a boss over and over until you start to kind of like get it, I guess is the best way to say it. But the gargoyles, like it's an interesting fight in that game, because once, of course, you get it to half HP, or the first one to half HP, the second one comes out, and it's an interesting thing to deal with in that game, because you're fighting 2 bosses at once. You're having to like manage that, and for someone that first gets into the game, and for them to put that out so early in the game, I think it was probably like the first giant hurdle to get past. And once you did that, everything else kind of seemed a little bit easier, especially the time between bosses. That felt so much easier after I did the gargoyles.
The butterfly I found to be pretty easy. I mean, I think grand total it took me maybe 5 or 6 times, but I really felt like 2 or 3 of those times at least, like I could have, like it was my own personal error. Like I could have totally beat it. And I knew at that point I was going to beat it. Like I didn't feel like this was a block at all. It was like, okay, if I just play smart, I'll beat it. And then I did. And I think that's what I love most about this game, is that like, and I've never had any rage whatsoever at this game, which seems so like rage. It could theoretically be rage-inducing, but there's something about it that's like, they're telling you from the start that it's going to kick your ass, and then they kick your ass in kind of a fair way. So it all feels like, it feels fair. It feels like, okay, well, right, I was probably supposed to die the first time, and that's all right. And then in subsequent deaths, like almost every time, I feel like it's my own fault. And I think I might rage in games that are easier more quickly because, why? Because I feel like I died because the game wasn't fair to me or something, or they threw 8,000 monsters at me, you know, out of a monster closet that I wasn't expecting, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like this feels, it always feels fair, even when it's.
Well, you have the right attitude, because I thought that this game was the most unfair piece of shit at times. Well, okay. I mean, you're bound to have that moment, right? Where, and we've all seen the one with the skeleton, where like the guy rolls up and he like hacks the skeleton, and then the other guy comes out and fucking boots him off.
Yeah, that was from Vinny's playthrough on Giant Bomb.
Yeah, that
was hilarious.
That, I mean, it happens, and so I mean, there's definitely some bosses later on that I felt were, and everyone has their difficult boss per se, but. You know, like I said, that's a good attitude, man. If you can keep that through the whole game, then I think Jeff has really beaten it.
Well, you may talk. I may have broken the disc in half, so who knows? But I'm really loving it. I feel like super late to the party on it now, and I know.
You're never late to that party, man.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, it's how that game seems to have like a. I don't know. It seems like maybe streaming has given it a second life, or just ongoing life. It seems to be a game that a lot of people watch. I mean, I know I like to watch Vinny play on Giant Bomb. There's something about it that's just compelling to watch. I think maybe it's the pace of the game or something.
I think what it is that if you've played that game, you have so much, I guess maybe respect is the best word for it, or the word that I'm going to use, for that game, and you enjoy watching other people go through the same experiences that you did. And for the most part, everyone kind of has their own way of playing that game, right? They learn different things that they can do to test out an area, or everyone knows that there's this one moment coming up where shit can go really fucking bad if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. And they want to see other people experience the shit going really fucking bad, because it went bad for you and it was awesome. So you want to, like, I guess, relive that experience through their playthrough. At least that's the reason I watch all of them.
I agree.
I can't think of another game that's really like this. It's almost like its own niche.
You know, the closest thing is probably like I want to be the Boshi, or I want to, you know, like one of the maybe Super Meat Boy-esque sort of, because it is, right? Like the key to those games is just the strategy and the patterns and knowing what you need to do, and usually you are your own worst enemy. And like you said, Jeff, I would die because I would just be like, I'm just going to rush through it, you know? And you can't. You have to be patient. And the game teaches you if you
Right.
will, or forces you to utilize what patience you have. So
Yeah, that's right. And it will screw you every time you don't do that. If you've like done the level 6 times in a row and you're like, okay, whatever, this time I'm just freaking blundering in because I'm tired of this, you're gonna die. Like, the game doesn't let you do that. Like, you have to be patient. It's either that or just turn the game off. Like, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
Any other way.
yeah.
But for me, like, that's awesome. Like, that means I can compete. Where I can't compete is if it's like super fast Twitch skills or just things that are just beyond me now at this point in my life.
Sure.
But this game feels like, okay, I have, this requires brain power, which I like to think I still have. I mean, I don't have it every day, but at least some of the days I still have adequate brain power to play this game. So yeah, and I'll be getting Dark Souls 2 on day one. That's for damn sure.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that game. I'm so curious to see how well that game sells, just because like Dark Souls has had such a long shelf life now.
Yeah.
And it came out 2 years ago.
Yes.
Is it 2 or 3?
Yeah, it's
I think
been
2.
a while, man.
And like, here we are, fucking ranting and raving about this game that came out on the PS3 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like everyone has played that game and everyone's wanting more. They're always talking about their experiences in it. So I really want to see how well Dark Souls 2 sells, and I hope it sells fucking shit tons. I wish it was on new consoles, but
Did you guys play Demon Souls?
I went back after Dark Souls and played through
Definitely.
Is it basically the same thing, or
it. Kinda.
same idea, right? Same.
Yeah.
It follows the same concept of I want to be brutal to you, but you will feel so
Yeah.
rewarded with the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that boss for boss, I enjoyed Demon Souls more than Dark Souls. But that might have also been that when I played Dark Souls, I had a pretty good idea of all the bosses in the game, in the sense that I knew what they were going to be. In Demon Souls, that was kind of a blind playthrough. Like, I was just stumbling upon what I was doing and who I was fighting and how that was happening, and it was much more enjoyable for me to like discover that. So, but it's definitely it's the same. It's more the same. I think would probably be the best way to describe it.
So probably worth it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have PS3, I would definitely jump on it. It was. I played it because it was free on PS Plus. I think it's only like $20 now or something too on the PS Store. So,
Man, the PS Store is really an amazing thing. I just noticed this morning that they put Eco and Shadow of the Colossus up there.
Yeah.
yeah,
For
that was
free.
free last. I think maybe
Amazing.
last month or this month. I'm not sure. But I've
Especially-
definitely played those.
Eco is, I mean, that game was impossible to find for a while too. So
Yeah.
it's kind of neat that it's not just available now, but it's free.
Yeah, and it's the HD editions or whatever of them too.
Yeah.
So they're up res. That's
Yeah,
good.
the Shadow
Yeah.
of Colossus HD version is pretty amazing. So
That can be played on the Vita. So I'm glad I got a Vita
Yeah.
because I can play through
isn't
remote
that
play.
awesome?
And I
So
think
these
you
are
can do it over wireless.
these are exact ports, right? I mean, like the Uncharted is exactly
No, Uncharted is his own game.
or it's
Yeah.
its own game.
Yeah, Vita
Okay.
Uncharted,
exclusive.
it's Golden.
Okay.
What is it? Golden Abyss.
Golden Abyss.
I think so.
Yeah.
But it's like its own game. Yeah. So
If I get a Vita after this broadcast, I'm blaming both of you.
I blame JP, man. It's
Blame me.
always, yeah.
dude, I'm the worst at this. I just like, if I get something and I enjoy it, I'll just rant to people like, "Oh,
Like,
this is
hey,
so
man.
great! You got to get it." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Just- I'm bad. And then what I'll do is that now that I know you're interested in it, the next time I see a Vita on sale, I'll fucking
No.
message you that it's on sale.
No,
Yeah.
have I done?
It's
I don't even have a PS4 or Xbox One yet.
Oh, I'll get you those too. Don't worry.
I still can't figure out why I want one yet either.
yeah,
so
that
there's
that might not be.
I don't
better
think you
than
want
either
one.
way,
So.
Do you still have buyer's remorse, do you?
I don't have buyer's remorse because I know there's good games coming out for either system.
Yeah.
But I'm just not like
Could you have waited?
sure. But I'd probably be in your position where like maybe I should buy one. Maybe I should get, and I hate that position.
Yes. I agree.
Because I'll sit there and fascinate over it and go crazy.
Because you know the answer is you're gonna buy one. It's just a matter
Exactly.
of time. Right?
Exactly.
I know I'm gonna buy one.
Yeah.
So, really quickly, a couple of mobile things this week. So the Wolf Among Us got sprung on the iTunes store, which is badass, right? Because if you it's a perfect game to play on like an iPad, and The Walking Dead was very successful, but it's also, it's cheaper. So if you go in, you can get on that. It's pretty nice. Just letting people know. And then there was 2 other big releases this week. One of them is Space Hulk, which is sort of like XCOM, but in the Warhammer universe, where you're you're the Space Marines, and it's really, really awesome and a really fantastic port. Yeah, and I played the original, like, 1993 version, which really starts to show some age a little bit, but it is the same thing. Like, if you loved XCOM, you will actually really dig this game. And I believe that it came out on Steam in July, but now it's available on iOS.
That's where I've heard that game from.
That is tempting.
Yeah, it's pretty great for the iPad. I love there's one thing that's so cool about it, is that each of your Marines that you have, that you get to see this first person view of what they see, in addition to seeing the bird's eye view. And it's not even necessary for it. It doesn't even really have any relevance other than just being damn cool. And it's so nice. But the one that I wanted to be really good that ended up sucking was Assassin's Creed Pirates, you guys. First off,
they tried to sell. Well, I guess
it looks good.
Money,
it looks good. It looks nice.
Sure.
But then the ship combat, which I was hoping, I was like, I could see the ship combat working on an iOS device. And you know what? That's what I like the most about Assassin's Creed 4. So let's give this a shot. Your ship combat looks to be pretty normal. You've got the reticles that show you the arc and the distance of the stuff. But then they're like, okay, the enemy ship is about to fire at you. Now, if you swipe your finger in this direction, your ship will dodge. And I'm like, fucking peace. I'm out of here. It's so your ship actually, it's sitting there and it actually goes and shoots ahead. And I'm like, what did you guys do? You took what arguably was one of the coolest aspects of Assassin's Creed 4. You put it into mobile form, which looks great and could have translated really well. And then you tried to make it like Infinity Blade or something, where it was just these super simple battles that, a toddler could play. Really, really disappointed in that horseshit.
That sounds like designed by marketing or something, or just or I don't want to accuse the developers of being lazy or whatever, because that's not nice. But there's something about it that's like, well, there's like default iPad gameplay. So we're going to do that. We know that we can swipe things to make things move, as opposed to really kind of thinking out a cool way to use a touchscreen that might do what you're asking, which is some semblance, sort of what might pass for video game ship combat. Right.
I like the title of Kotaku's article. There isn't much Assassin's Creed in Assassin's Creed Pirates. So there you go. And here's an example of the art style, which at first I was like, okay, it's a mobile game. Like, it is what it is. The
it's
ship,
like Grand Theft Auto.
Because look at this, right? You're looking at this, and when you actually, let's see one with actual ship battle here. Okay. Well, all right. Here, see these little things right here? That's your dodge. Yeah, dumb as hell. Huh. Dumb as hell. Fail.
Yeah. But you're liking Assassin's Creed 4 itself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I feel like the ship collection stuff is a bit of a grind.
Yeah.
So I go back and forth on it all the time. Because the moment you get that new piece for the ship where you're like, hell yeah, and then you hit that wall again and you're like, oh, I've got to go grind for more
Have
resources.
You seen any of the 100 level or the level 100 ships yet? The
legendary I've seen them, but I can't fight them. You were telling me about the fighting of them.
Yeah, I can't defeat them, but if I see one, I'll just fucking go try to fight it because it's crazy. Like just seeing this level 100 man of war legendary ship just destroy you in like half a second because they shoot 36 cannons or some crazy amount of shit. I wish I could spend more time with Assassin's Creed, but I just haven't had the time yet to go back to it. I think that game hooked me pretty bad when I played through it for the 6 or 7 hours before the Xbox One came out. So,
let me ask you guys a question, and it might be a stupid question because I haven't played it yet, and I've avoided all spoilers on that thing too. But from everything that I hear, it sounds like the gameplay isn't anything like all the other Assassin's Creeds. Is that true? I mean, is there still the like parkour kind of stuff, or is that all gone now?
It's in there for sure, but it's unlike other games because did you play Assassin's Creed 3 at all?
I played. I just got it off Steam recently, and I played about 25% of it, and it was not.
Did you get to the ship part? I don't know where that happens in the game, where you're driving around in or.
I was not driving around in the ship. No.
Okay, so that they like took that from Assassin's Creed because it was the only good thing in that entire game.
Okay, well that explains why I haven't been enjoying it.
Yeah, and like made a game based around that, and that's
yes.
I would say it's probably a good. And this is my 4 or 5 hour in the game, but it's like a 60-40 split ship to like regular Assassin's Creed.
I see. Because all I ever hear about when folks talk is the ship stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when did Assassin's Creed turn into Sid Meier's Pirates? But,
right. And I'm a little worried that I'm enjoying it so much, not because it's a well-crafted game design process, but because it looks so good. Like I don't know what part I like more. The fact that the game looks gorgeous and like a storm can kick up, but then you have this giant wave that is like beautifully rendered that you have to go head on first, or your ship will just get capsized and destroyed. Or it's that system that I just described. Like I don't know if I like the graphics or the actual gameplay better. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's not a thing to like wreck the game. So I don't know.
I personally, for me, good graphics are never enough. I can't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do it for me. I mean, of course, I like looking at them, and of course, that's always your immediate first gut response when you see something on screen that looks beautiful. I mean, I felt that when Last of Us first started, but in the end, that's not going to hold my interest if that's all it's got going for it.
Yeah.
And when I was a game critic, when I was working in the magazine back in the old days, it was like a pet peeve of mine when the developers would sort of harp on certain like, of course they're proud, and I get that. But, in the end, it was like, yeah, but is the game any good? Like, I get what you're saying, but I don't want to spend 20 minutes with you showing me how realistic your waves look. Like, that's awesome, but like show that to your mom.
Right.
You be proud of that, but like if I'm paying $60 or whatever, there better be some good gaming as well as those nice looking waves.
Yeah. I will say that the parkour and everything in that game is so much more enjoyable, and I don't know why, than it ever was in Assassin's Creed 3.
Really?
It's just, I don't know if it's because the system is more free in the sense that you can do whatever you want for the most part than it was in AC3, or if it's like the setting, or it feels better all around than it ever did in AC3. And I don't know why that is. I'd have to play AC3 to figure out.
I didn't play 3 enough to really fairly judge it, though that never stopped me. And I guess it won't stop me now, but there was something weird about, like, right from the start about running into guys like Ben Franklin and stuff like that. I was like, it felt like a elementary school assignment or something. I don't know, bus or something. Like, I don't want to run into these dudes. It was one thing when it was like the Renaissance, but this felt a little too, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I honestly hated Connor. I hated that character. I did not enjoy.
Yeah.
He's just not an enjoyable.
There was no charisma there.
Yeah, like the whatever Edward the pirate in the fourth one, he's a fucking like full on badass. He'll just like walk into a room and just like start shooting everyone and then just like pull out his sword.
Game over.
You just start destroying people, and I enjoy that.
So you can just go in and kill everybody?
Yeah, well, I mean, like in the cutscenes, like that's the type of character he is. The story is that he's just like, well, fuck it, I don't care about you. I'll just slit your throat. Like, why do I care about you? I like that as a character.
The whole fiction, game fiction, series fiction.
Kinda. It's it's a little interesting.
Since this other story.
Yeah, like I don't know how much I want to say, because like in the first 5 minutes of the game, you realize what's going on, and you're like, well, this is kind of fucking dumb. But then you realize that it's just a game about. I feel like with AC4, they're just like, fuck it, we don't care. Let's just have a fun game. Like I don't care. We don't care about the story. They have a story in there, and it is.
Of course, that worked for Saints Row, right? That worked for them to just fuck it. Yeah, sure. Get to be the president.
Yeah, it's all right.
Sure, they're aliens. What the hell?
I mean, they don't go that far, but it's just the basis of the game is that it's just that it's a game, and so it's really weird. Uh-huh. And they're taking a couple of things where, like. They're not historically accurate 100% of the way through this, as far as I can tell. They're more just like, well, it'd be more fun if the player could do this. And so then they do that, and it's like, well, that actually was a lot more fun than what probably would have been historically accurate. So it's good to see that. It's good to see that.
You still get the feeling in this game, like in all the other Assassin's Creeds, when not 3, but 1, 2, and the expansions, if I would play those games for like a while and then go outside, it like seriously affected my real world. Like I would see buildings and all I would see would be like where I could jump to, like, you know, like seeing storm drains on roofs and things. I'd be like, I was like, oh my God, like, no, I'm not in the game now. Like I don't need to get to the top of that building over there.
Jeff, what are you doing?
Yeah, but my brain naturally was doing that. It was like seeing Tetris pieces fall out of the sky back in the day when.
Exactly. Well, Mark, is it? Are we doing a break?
Yeah, let's take a break. I don't even think we got through everything.
It's okay. There's no news this week. It's December. There's
it is no news. So maybe, but gosh, I can't wait to hear you talk about hosing down elephants, JP.
Dude, it's great.
when we come back, JP is going to give us a full breakdown on Zoo Tycoon for Xbox One. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss it, because I know that JP has been having a blast with this game. I love it. So, guys, we're going to return in just a moment for our second hour of 8 Bits. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.